This video is part 2. It is an update to part 1 called A Fight in Farmington, the truth and timeline of a data center developer's influence in a small town, which was uploaded on October 23, 2024. Please make sure to watch part 1 prior to watching part 2. To summarize this story, the city officials of Farmington, Minnesota are committed to the rezoning of 2 large parcels of land in our town, from residential agricultural to mixed-use commercial industrial. This will allow tract management to develop a 12-building hyperscale data center with the end user currently unknown. The parcels of land sit right between and next to residential homes, and this is why we fight. Tract Management, a predatory data center developer from Colorado, signed NDAs with Farmington city officials in 2023. These non-disclosure agreements help Tract keep the entire project quiet, hidden from residents until their plans were firmly set in place. The city officials followed Tract's bidding, cooperating with all of the studies and plans necessary to create an AUAR, Alternative Urban Area-Wide Review. Tract also had time to work on a PUD and plat long before city residents were aware of the project. In part 1, we ended with the Planning Commission voting to approve the Comprehensive Plan Amendment on October 8th. This came right after their approval to advise the Council to rezone the land to MUCI, which implies light industrial. Now we continue with the update. October 21, 2024, the Coalition organized an informational meeting for the community in the local library in an attempt to keep the public informed. The room was filled with concerned citizens, and there were many who expressed frustration. October 30, 2024, the City of Farmington was required to hold community engagement as part of their comprehensive plan update. They scheduled 2 open houses for the community to share their input. On October 30th, citizens showed up at City Hall. They were met by 3 staff members, Tony Whippler, City Planner, Deanna Coonan, Director of Community and Economic Development, and Lynn Gorski, City Administrator, along with 1 lone council member, Holly Burnatz. The open house's purpose was to discuss the city's comp plan update. The crowd wanted to discuss only one topic, the rezoning of the 2 parcels of land designated for the data center. Dozens of residents stood for 2 hours in the hallway. They asked questions, they brought studies and research, and they explained how putting this massive complex right next to their homes would negatively affect their home values and their quality of life. They begged Holly, the council member, to vote in their favor the following week. One resident asked how she would feel if this was slated for her backyard. She responded, "I probably wouldn't be thrilled." The crowd left that night hoping their message got through. What occurred at the second open house scheduled for citizens' input on November 12th? This opportunity for residents was canceled by the city the day of. No explanation given, nor was the opportunity rescheduled. November 4th, 2024, the City Council was set to vote to rezone the land parcels to MUCI and to approve the comp plan amendment. The room was filled with citizens. Even the standing room was taken. Several citizens spoke at the beginning of the meeting. They asked the council to prioritize the residents over Tract and to vote against this rezoning right next to their homes. Then, the city's full support of this Colorado developer quickly became evident. 1 lone council member, Steve Wilson, stood for the citizens with common sense arguments.
When I think about this type of development in the comprehensive plan amendment, this does not work. This just flat out doesn't work. But I think what really changed my mind, and I tried really hard not to let it change my mind, was our trip to Iowa. The thing that stuck out to me was what I didn't see. This Apple data center sits literally in the middle of nowhere. And when I envision a data center and the comprehensive plan with a data center, it's not in the middle of a neighborhood. It's in a area that is zoned away from areas which have homes and maybe smaller businesses. For me, I cannot support a comprehensive plan with this type of use so adjacent and so close to our neighborhoods. But as it relates to the comprehensive plan, I would not be able to support that.
The rest of the council and mayor then showed their intention to vote against the residents' interests.
I'm not sitting here loving this. Somebody asked me, would you want it in your backyard? And I said I wouldn't be thrilled at the idea, and that's not a lie. I wouldn't be thrilled at the idea. I am of the opinion that I do see this as reasonable.
Someone will be impacted by a change this big. So is there breathing room? I generally do not believe that there is. And this is the best opportunity in front of us with what we have today.
It doesn't matter what I ask tonight or what suggestions I make for those of you who are sitting in this room. All you want to see is us vote against this. I think you would all agree. It doesn't matter the questions that we ask the individuals that come up here. If we don't vote against this, it's not going to win any of you over in this room.
So at the end of the day, and this is the uncomfortable part, and this is the part that has to be said out loud. For decades, this community has been screaming economic development. To the gentleman's point earlier, who said, I pay, right? The difference is this time it's in your backyard. But we can't make the decision based on whose backyard it's in. Because, no, you can't. I'm not going to get into a back and forth. You can't make a decision based on where the project is.
Residents felt further disregarded as a discussion focused on a superficial concern like fake windows on the 8-story buildings, rather than addressing meaningful issues such as adequate setbacks and other parameters they had raised.
To add in there, like faux windows as one of the other opportunities for a more visually appealing and aesthetic presentation to the buildings.
Could you clarify your intent behind full windows?
Faux.
Faux windows.
As in visually appealing from the outside, not necessarily usable from the
I
inside.
got it. Thank you.
And with that, the votes.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Wilson.
No.
Councilmember Burnjum.
Yes.
Mayor Hoyt.
Yes.
Councilmember Bernance.
Yes.
Councilmember Lean.
Yes.
November 13th, 2024. Several residents spoke briefly at the Met Council in St. Paul to shine a spotlight on the actions of the City of Farmington. The Met Council will receive, review, and approve the city's amendment to their comp plan. Residents wanted the board to see that rezoning this land next to their homes to accommodate the largest data center in Minnesota was clearly a substantial departure from the regional plan. November 18th, 2024. The City Council was set to vote on the final PUD and final plat. These were the important parameters and details of the project that Tract wanted. The parameters were never discussed with the public. The city gave the residents no public hearings and no meetings that involved or requested their input. The citizens were left out. Earlier that day, one resident invited all city council members to his home to show them how close 250 feet was to his property. Residents came to the meeting asking for more concern for their properties and begging for deeper setbacks than the minimal 250 feet. Requests fell on deaf ears. Tract and the city would not budge.
Hi, for the record, Kristen Dean. On the phone, I did not state a specific width in the increase of the buffer. I said that we were looking at increasing the buffer.
To what size?
I did not say 100 feet. I absolutely did not say 100 feet. I did not provide a number in that phone call. I said that we were increasing the width of the buffer, and that was something that we thought would help continue to work towards mitigating the impacts. And then we discussed that with the city and agreed to 80 feet additional total. Did not say anything to him on the phone.
Okay, thank you.
On this day, Kristen Dean made it clear to this resident that per tract, 250-foot setbacks were non-negotiable.
We are listening. We continue to hear And individually, both on behalf of the council and our team, we are working with the developer to make sure that there is a overlap, something in the middle. It's not going to. It's.
How are you working with us, Josh? You sit here and you tell me that you're working with the developer, you don't work with us.
Once again, only one council member supported the residents.
And I'm going to tell you right now that if I lived on Calico Court and I saw 250 feet out and the possibility of a 50-foot building, that's terrifying to me. That is way too close. That's why I think us as a council need to talk more about this, because 250 feet is not going to cut it in this area.
And then the vote.
Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
No.
Mayor Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilmember Burngeon,
Yes.
Councilmember Burnett.
Yes.
December 2nd, 2024, the City Council voted to approve the development contract between Tract and the City. Construction was approved from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 on Saturdays, and dewatering the land on Sundays would be allowed. Construction hours could be approved beyond these hours by request and approval from the city. Here is a recent video of the ongoing construction at Rosemont's Metadata Center project at night, taken approximately 1,000 feet away. Farmington residents will be dealing with similar construction less than 250 feet from their properties for many years. And then something similar to this once it's finished. That same night at the meeting, the coalition announced that a legal injunction had been filed against the city by a group of residents.
Mayor and council, and the citizens of Farmington, as of today, I have commenced a lawsuit on the city of Farmington on behalf of the concerned citizens of this city, which includes a motion for injunctive relief. Please proceed at your own discretion. Thank you.
The legal filing cites breach of contract between the City of Farmington and Castle Rock Township, incompatible zoning, and local resource issues. December 9th, 2024, the coalition held another community meeting at the local library. In the meeting, the coalition pointed out several differences between the decisions made by Rosemont, a city 8 miles north, with their data center project compared to Farmington's decisions. There is great contrast between the Metadata Center in Rosemont, which is currently under construction, compared to Tract's project in Farmington. This table shows the much more responsible planning by Rosemont. Although the Metadata Center in Rosemont is much smaller than Tract's, they took much more regard for their residents. Tract's project is 3.6 times larger than the Meta project, yet the Meta project has no adjacent residential homes. Farmington has residential homes surrounding their project, with hundreds of residents being directly affected. Meta has substantial setbacks of 600, 750, 900, and 1,300 feet. Buildings are set deep within the property with adequate natural buffers. Tract's project has minimal setbacks at 250 feet with no room for adequate buffering. Building height differences: 40 feet for Meta, 80 feet for Tract. Standards for these two projects are vastly different. Once again, the meeting room was filled with concerned citizens who stayed to engage with a question and answer session. December 10th, a Board of Supervisor meeting at Castle Rock Township. This meeting was also filled with residents as a coalition member presented information to the board. The citizens learned that night that the City of Farmington refused to meet with the Castle Rock Board regarding their breach of the original annexation agreement. This will allow the township to go forward as they contemplate their next move. What about the non-disclosure agreements? In mid-October, we requested all NDAs between the City of Farmington and all technology park entities. We received 3 different sets. One set is with an entity called Opdan, Inc. One set is with Tract, and one set is with an entity called The Company. Farmington already has the Bengal Project data center planned for the west side of town. They have Tract's project planned on the east side of town. Is there a third planned? This continued lack of transparency by the city should be concerning for all residents. 5 city officials signed non-disclosure agreements with Tract in October of 2023. Then Tract and the city quickly went to work on the AUAR. We can see they received their response from the Fish and Wildlife Service in March of 2024. Kimley Horn had reports created in March of 2024. The Department of Natural Resources provided a response in February of 2024. The AUAR was far into the process by the time they let the residents know. When did the residents get notice? May 1st of 2024. The residents along the golf course received a notice on May 1st for a public hearing and vote to rezone the land. The vote was scheduled for May 14th. This late notice was intentional and is how the predatory developers work with the cities. Tract and the City of Farmington had everything in place before the word got out. Laws in Minnesota require government entities to provide data promptly upon request at a reasonable cost. All of us have access to this information. In addition to the NDAs, we also requested other records from the city in mid-October. This included all emails, memos, and correspondence between Tract and the city. The first quote we received was for $7,000, quickly turning to $8,000. After contacting the state of Minnesota and getting a representative from the Data Practices Department involved, the city's invoice dropped considerably. However, we only have a partial quote and no estimated delivery date for our data. Tract promised to be good neighbors and yet chose a location right next to residential homes. They refused to agree to responsible setbacks and other parameters for their neighbors. And the website they set up to provide Farmington residents ongoing information regarding their project taken down.
And how we can help facilitate those while also bringing a thoughtful, planned development project here. We really were founded on the recognition that the early generation data center development was being done in a very ad hoc manner. This company was founded upon doing it better, to understand and mitigate any potential impacts on nearby properties and be sensitive to the communities. We realized immediately with the May Planning Commission meeting that that was not the level of detail that you guys wanted, nor that we wanted, because we wanted to have the opportunity to really look more closely at those development standards. We also felt a little weird, like not being front and center in that rezoning process. We wanted to engage with you all, and we want to engage with the community, and we want to be able to answer your questions.
Unfortunately, we have city officials making decisions about a project that won't impact them personally, as none of them live near these land parcels. Their focus appears to be solely on the tax revenue it generates rather than the well-being of the affected residents.
While the benefits may be drastically outweighing the negative side of this, or any perceived negative side effect.
Perceived? The negative impacts are happening in other cities where data centers currently exist. Farmington officials somehow think that reality will be different in this city. Perceived has been a common word used in these meetings. The research on the negative impacts of data centers near residential homes is overwhelming.
Please put consideration into the site plan, the layout. We do not want to find ourselves in a situation where, yeah, we thought, but, and then we have to do this hard pivot and there's an amended plat and then it's changing and now we're going, nope, the building went from 30 to now 60 feet tall, or the setback that was going to be 300 or 400 is now going to be 150. We're all going to have major problems at that point.
The building height this city approved was neither 30 nor 60 feet tall. It was 80 feet tall, 8 stories. Realize Farmington City Code for their building height limit is 45 feet. They almost doubled this limit to accommodate Tract's request. And the setback the city approved was neither 300 nor 400 feet. It was a mere 250 feet.
I worked in a data center for 15 years. It was always the traffic. I could shout all the way across that building on the outside. It wasn't an issue. I don't lose too much sleep over that. I mean, we got a train that goes by a dozen times an hour and you don't even notice it, right?
The last 13 years, the city has not been in the best financial state. And so,
and the reality is a tech park is a type of development that's going to bring in the most taxes and have the least impact on community services. These types of developments you won't find out in a township or in a, out in the country, like some people would like to see them, because then they wouldn't have the public infrastructure that they need.
This statement is untrue. Data centers are built in the country by responsible cities all the time. It just may cost more for the developer to bring the utilities to the site.
I'm not concerned with the noise. Yeah, there's going to be backup generators. I've been around them. That won't be an issue for you.
Per the approved AUAR, this data center could include several hundred diesel-powered backup generators. Each would have a 6,100-gallon diesel belly tank. If only 200 generators were on this property, this would amount to 1.22 million gallons of stored fuel sitting next to residents' homes.
I think the noise is a perceived problem, which I think can be mitigated by a lot of these systems. And
I, in June, went to the city of Chaska. There have, I think, 4 or 5 data centers at the end of a cul-de-sac. There's a field and residential housing across the field. The only thing I could hear was the sound of my car running and the birds in the field.
Chaska has 3 data center buildings in close proximity. To compare a smaller data center such as this to a hyperscale data center is inherently flawed because of their vast differences. Just comparing 2 features. The Chaska data centers use an estimated combined power of 30 megawatts. The Tract data center, 708 megawatts. The Chaska data centers have a combined square footage of 322,000. The Tract data center, a square footage of 2.53 million. These are not the same.
Why not gain the tax revenue for our community rather than 5 miles down the road? So,
in a joint city council and school board meeting in August.
As soon as we all get on the same page and we all start singing the same tune and we start quashing that narrative that Farmington sucks, here's what you don't have, here's what you can't build, then move. Go somewhere else. Because there's a lot of people sitting here working every single day to solve these problems, and I don't see a long list of people raising their hands, offering their time to do it.
Our new name is the Coalition for Responsible Data Center Development. If you feel inclined to donate to our legal fund, please see a link in the video description. If you wish to get involved, please contact us on our Facebook page. This link and our webpage link will be in the video description. Thank you for watching.